All right, so this tutorial is for how to customize the Navbar inside of Bootstrap. So if that's something you want to do, you can do that. So I'm just going to show you. So I'll get rid of this carousel real quick too. Where's the end of the carousel? Div. I guess it's this. Okay. Okay. So what I want to show you basically is I have nothing. All I did was I attached Bootstrap. It's just a default in there. I made a container fluid and then a container, regular container, the fixed width one. And then I put a row and then I put a column. So I haven't put anything in the column yet, but you see I have one row across and then the column is 12. So it means it's going to go all the way across, and it's in the fluid one, which means it's going to go from edge to edge, and like liquid, it's going to expand and collapse. Okay. So first thing I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put a Navbar in here. Okay. So just inside of, that column, go over, make sure you're in Bootstrap. You're not in HTML, you're in Bootstrap components. And I'm going to go to Navbar, and I'm just going to do basic Navbar. Okay. Inverted, it's kind of the same thing, but just do basic because we're going to change the colors anyway. So I'm going to do basic Navbar, and it's going to give me this. Okay. So just make sure that it's tabbed in, such as you would like, and then we'll be good to go. All right. So if I look at my live view, you're going to see it gave me this, right? Which is pretty good. But some things that you probably are going to want to get rid of right off the bat. Oh, and just to show you, it does like the responsive thing where I'll get the hamburger menu, which is nice. Okay. But first thing you're going to want to get rid of this. The search bar doesn't really make sense for our site because we don't have anything built in there to really handle that. So if I click on it, you can see it'll highlight down here. There's a form. There's a form right here. And that's it right there. So where it says form, I'm going to take out this entire form. Okay. And that'll get rid of the form. If you go to live, you'll see that that is now gone, which I never wanted that. So that's fine. Next, there's this button over here. It says Navbar. Now you might want that. I think it's kind of weird that they made a home button here. If you want to keep it, I would use that as like your home button, call it home, or you could have the logo of your site or something like that. If you want to keep it, you can keep it and use it, but make sure it makes sense as to whatever it is, right? So for instance, just to show you what I would do is I would go to font awesome. I should have spaced that out. And I would do something like this, and start using free. And you'd want to, actually they have a little thing here. Click on this so I can copy the link code. Okay. And right after my Bootstrap link up here, I would go ahead and paste that. Right. This is just if you want to put like a home icon, I'm thinking. Right. So now I'm allowed to use the font awesome. So now all I got to do is go here, and I'm going to search icons, and I'm going to look for home. Right. But if you have something else, you can make a custom picture if you want. If you want to make a custom picture, we're going to click on free only because I'm cheap. But if you want to make a custom picture, totally make a custom picture. That's cool. It might make sense for whatever you're doing. A little graphical icon. Honestly, I would prefer that. That would be better. But if you're, lazy, so I'm going to select home here. And it's going to give me these options. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy the thing right here. And then inside of Dreamweaver, instead of saying Navbar, which is what it currently says, it says Navbar, all I'm going to do is take this out, delete, and I will Control V or Command V to paste, and then I'll say fa whatever there. And if I go to live, you'll see there it is right there. Okay. Then I go to here. All right. Actually, let's go back there. So now you'll look. I got this little icon, but you might not want it, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove that anyway. Basically, it's just this section here. If I just take this thing out and hit delete, right, you can see it's an it's an anchor, it's a link. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that. So I just select that little bit. It's after this first bit, and if I go to live, you'll see that it's gone. Okay, so if you want it gone, do that. If you don't do that. The next thing to deal with is the links themselves up here. You may or may not like them. So like disabled, you probably don't really care about that one. So right down here, you can see what we have is this collapse Navbar collapse, and basically that's the thing that allows it to do this. That when I collapse it, it'll chunk, put it into that, and then when I can click on it to expand it, which is cool. So that lets that go. But if you look, basically it's an unordered list, and then there's list items. Now there's a little bit of fanciness in here, but each list item here is one of the links, okay? And you see this one, all it really has is this thing that says disabled. It's just another class that's inside of Bootstrap. And just to show you, if I remove that, you'll see see how it's not written different? It's not grayed out like before. All that disabled does is just make it have the appearance of being grayed out, right, and not working. And then they just wrote disabled for the link. I'm just going to get rid of that altogether, all right? No big deal. All right. Sorry, I'm a little sick. So anyway, next that we have here, if you look, we now have just these three. And you may like them or dislike them. You might have your own whatever with them. Now, you might like the drop-downs. If you want to do drop-downs, you can do drop-downs. But you don't really need them as your main thing, because this does a drop-down here. So that's not quite as necessary. But if you do feel like you want one, what you'll notice is it says list item, and it's got nav item drop-down. And then it's got this toggle that's drop down. So this is what's written there. So if I, go booger, you're going to see that instead of drop down, it's going to say booger, and it's still going to have the items underneath it. Okay. And then inside of that is a div, and then it has basically each class. So it has class drop down item action. So that's one of them. This has another drop down item, another action. Then it's got a divider, and what that means is that when I expand it, I hope you can see it. See, there's a little line there, and the first ones don't have that. Let's see if I can. I don't know. You can't see it, but the first two do not have a line between them. So that's what that divider thing is. So if you didn't want that divider, you can just take this div out, right? And it'll just collapse this, or you can put that divider between all of them. Come on, there we go. A lot of spaces in between. Okay, and then if you look, you'll see, let's click on this. See, now no divider. All right, so if you want that divider, you can put it between each one, or you cannot. If you want to add another drop down, just go ahead and grab this one here. So you see it says drop down item, something else here. Just going to grab that. So Command C or Control C, and Command V, Control V. And now you'll see if I go to live. So I just basically copied this A and added, just copy and paste it to create another one. And now if I go here, you'll see that, oops, come on. Now I have another one, all right? And vice versa. If you want to get rid of one, you just select it and delete one, and then you'll have one less. And to change the link names is obviously just each one of these things here where it says another action, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you don't want any of that, and I don't, you could just grab this. They try to give you like a piece of all of them. Grab this whole list item and just delete it. Okay. And now, if you go here, that whole section's gone. Now you're going to notice that, let me go back there, that it says home and it says link. And notice they look different. The reason why is that the one above, the one that says home, has this tag called active, which honestly isn't all that useful. But if I take that out, if I take the class that says active, you can see it looks the same as the other one. There's nothing special about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this whole first one, the one that says home. Boom. And now you'll see all I have is one single link. And all you want to do is, I'm just going to leave it called link, but you would change the name here and you would change where it's going to here. But I'm just going to grab this one, okay? Control C, Command C, and then Control V or Command V. Let's tab this back in there, back this thing up. There we go. And Control V. And a little bit of up, and then we'll do one more just for good measure. Control V, and there you go. So now it just says link, 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 link. And if I go live, you'll see now I have my 4 links, and if I go like this, it expands, and I got the 4. Okay, which is probably what you want. It's just to have basic links that go across, and that's all hunky dory. All right, now. The next thing you'd want to do is probably do some customization as far as the look is concerned, okay? Now, right now it's got this default gray color, which you may or may not like. but it looks like Bootstrap. So let's get rid of that. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to use some of the classes already in here and put in our own. Okay, so I'm just going to do a style sheet up top here. Style, type, text CSS, close it, and give ourselves some room. And okay, and we're just going to go ahead and use those. So if I want to change the background color, I'm just going to go ahead and do it's this one right here, the .navbar, okay? Because that's, if you look nav, that's the entirety of it. So it's all encapsulated in that. So I'm going to do .navbar. All right, it's already a class that was in there. But now we're running one inside of our thing, which will supersede the other. And then I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, do that little bit there so that we have our brackets. And I'm going to do background hyphen color. And then, oh, we can do color picker right here. Boop. And I don't know what color. We'll do, I don't know. We'll do mid-gray. Okay. Oh, and actually, you know what I'm going to do too? I'll go a little bit darker, and I'm going to actually add a little bit of alpha to it too, so it's semi-transparent, like that. And click off. There it is right there. And semicolon, voila. Now, is that going to work? No, it's not. Because the problem is that this background light, BG light, is overriding it. So what you got to do is under nav, right here, get rid of this one. Don't get rid of navbar dash light, because then the expanding thing won't work. There's also navbar dash dark, and it'll say, this will say BG dark. So if you have that, you got to get rid of the BG dark, but don't get rid of the navbar dash dark. Now if I go here, you'll see that mine now is up there, okay? So in order to, you know, give way to that one, you have to get rid of that other part, okay? So that's how you would change the color, and that's super great and awesome. Now, you might want to, because if you look at mine, see how it's this dark gray, or dark black almost color? That obviously doesn't go with my color scheme, and plus you probably have a color scheme. So again, we're going to do the same thing that was already built in. If you look, each link has this nav item and nav link, okay? Now we don't want to use nav item because that's just the list item. I want to do the nav link because that's how I'm going to be able to get to the colors of the links there. So just like before, I'm going to do .nav hyphen link, okay? Wait, hyphen link, boom, and then we're going to do link because that's the default. And then I'm just going to do color. And I'm going to say white for now because I don't really care. But you should probably choose a color. So that's going to be the default color. And if I go to live, you'll see that now it didn't do anything. Isn't that super awesome? What did I do wrong? Nav link. Nav link link. Yeah, that should work. Let's see something real quick. Alright, so we're just gonna do, I'm just gonna do the other ones too, and then we'll fix it afterwards. So I gotta do that. I gotta do hover, right? Alright, and we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do color, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do black. Alright, I'm just gonna do this to kind of make these a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay, and then we also need to do nav hyphen link. And this is going to be visited. Okay. And this is going to be color again, and we will just say light gray. Light gray. Voila. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and save this and go to live and be totally in awe at how it's not working. Okay, so, alright, so when in doubt, when you run into something and it's not working, this worked last time, just not working now, the best way to do it is to make it more specific. So what that means is navlink is sort of, I mean, it's kind of specific because it's to this thing, but what I can do is also add nav item before it, and that will make it more selective, if you will. So I'm going to do dot nav hyphen item space, and let's copy this. Control C, Control V, space, Command V. All right, so like that. So it says dot nav item, dot nav link with a space in between. So it says in the nav item, in the nav link, go ahead and change that color. And now if I go to live, you'll see, voila, they are working the way that I wanted, right? And if I click on one, it doesn't really visit it, but you get the idea. All right, so yay, that's working. And if you want to change your fonts or colors or any other kind of items, obviously this is how you would select them. It's just to go ahead and utilize that. Okay, so that's all working pretty well. There's one other thing, and that gives you 90% of what you probably wanted. There's one other thing that people were asking about, and that's if you want to center it. So right now they're on the left, and I know that probably doesn't, make you feel warm and fuzz. So if you want to do that, it's going to be a little bit more work, but it's not a whole ton, okay? So basically, what we need to do is this. We need to, sorry, I'm a little, we need to make a custom element down here and kind of go from that. All right, so what we want to center isn't the whole thing. We want to center the UL, our list of links, okay? We don't want to center the whole thing because when I go to collapse this, like this, I still want this to be over on the left here. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be, a different color or whatever. So, I'm sorry, I don't want it to be in the center because that would be kind of weird. Usually you always have on the left because you got to think about it. If you're using a phone or something or it's really small, the top left corner is the thing that you're going to be able to get to, okay, regardless. So we only want to center just this set of links into the center, if that's what you want to do. You don't have to do this either, but, I'm just showing you. So to do that, we're going to make a custom CSS rule. So it's going to be .nav, .nav, what am I calling it? Navbar center. Navbar hyphen center. Okay, that's not one that already exists. It's just one that I'm making up. Boom. And we're going to add to this a position relative. Okay. We need that in order to align our thing later, in order to do this left alignment. Okay, so we're going to do left. And we want to do 50%. 50%. Okay. And what that means is that it's going to put it 50% to the left. So if I go to live, okay. Oh, well, it's going to do a 50% to the left. I didn't actually add it to the thing. So we're also going to add it down here. This isn't going to, it's going to be close to working, but not quite working. And I'll show you why. So down here, I got to add this navbar center. So inside of the UL and then the class. Okay. So it's going to be navbar hyphen center, like that. Now, if I click over here, you'll see that it's centered, but if you look, it's centered on the beginning of it. See how it's centered right here? So it's actually to the right. This list in general isn't centered. It's the left-hand side of the list is centered. So that's not quite what we want. I mean, it's pretty close. Now, what we could do is play around with it a bit and like just change the number to less than 50%, but it gets kind of squirrely because as you go down, some of the things are bigger or smaller or what have you. So it's not usually the best way to go about doing it. So there's another kind of little cheat thing we can do is that after this, we're going to go ahead and use transform, which is a thing that if we want to manually move our thing, not based on the window or anything like that. It's just, we're just physically moving it. Usually use it for like animation and stuff. So there's transform that you can do position, rotation, scale. We're going to do translate, which is position. Translate, okay? And we want to translate it 50% inside of that, which means that, oops, for percent, there you go. 50% like this. And what that's going to do is that it's going to take its own window and then move it 50% off of that. So what you're going to see is when I go here, it didn't actually work right. I did 50%. So it actually pushed it farther. It's going to be minus 50% because I'm trying to bring it back to the left. This moves it to the right too far. It's got to be minus 50%. Sorry about that. live, and boom. Now you'll see that it's actually centered. So it moves the whole thing to the left, and then the other one moves it back 50% from there. And so basically it makes it end up being center, all right? So if you want to center it, that's what you would do. And then if I collapse it, it still works. There you go. And that's all hunky-dory. Yay. All right, so I have one other issue, and that is this. When I go to collapse this, notice that this is like dark and black, and it just doesn't match what I have here, okay? There's two ways to fix this. I'll show you the easy way, and then I'll show you the hard way. One is more customizable, though. So basically, it's an SVG, scalable vector graphic, that's built inside of Bootstrap that they link into it. What that means is that it's not a font, so you can't just change the color. So if you remember, when you go to do your Navbar, they have basic Navbar, which is the light one, and they have inverted Navbar, which is the dark one, okay? So I actually made my color kind of dark. So what I could do is, it's kind of a weird way of doing it. It's technically, it's this. This is the icon that's being stuck in there. What I could do is, because I went with a dark color, you can see how it says Navbar light. If instead, and if you wanted this, like let's say you're, just so you realize, if this color was light and you wanted this to be dark, like this color, then you want to make sure that's Navbar light, because it's going to assume the background's light, so it's going to make that hamburger dark. If you want to go the other way, you do dark, and then what's going to happen is it's going to make the hamburger light. See how it's light gray now? So those are the two options. So you can either put in light or dark there. Now, that still kind of sucks, because that really doesn't leave me much option, because even with the dark there, it still doesn't match. You know what I mean? You could see, if I pull this closer, it's not white. I'd rather have it white. There's another way of doing it, and basically that way is to remove this. Okay, so let's not use that at all, and we'll put something else in there that we can use instead. So to do that, I'm actually going to go to my font awesome. Okay, now if you remember, I already attached it up here, so you need to attach it still first if that's what you want to use. Let's go back to font awesome. So you need to, start using free, and then you would need to attach it right here. You'd have to copy and paste that into your thing. But I'm just going to go ahead and do menu. Now, you could do other things besides the hamburger. You could put a different icon in there, as long as it makes sense. This one's not too bad. But this is sort of universal. People know what, let me make sure I click on free. This one's sort of universal. People know what that is. So I'm going to click on that one. And so this is actually treated like a font, even though it's showing an SVG here. I'm going to click on here to copy it. Okay, so it's copied. I'm going to go back in here. And then instead of using this here, I'm going to go ahead and go like this. Take this span out, and I'm going to paste that in there instead. So I just pasted over it. And now if I go to live, what you're going to see is when I collapse this, it's going to be there, but it's going to be the color of that thing. So it's still not quite the color that I want. I want it to be white, like these are, right? Or if your site's a different color. So to do that, I have to use, you can see it has this class there. So I'm just going to go ahead and select it by that class. So I'm going to go dot fa hyphen bars. Okay, and then we'll just do color white. Boom, and which isn't okay. And now if I go over here and I collapse this, yay, it's white. And if you want it bigger, we should be able to change its size there too. So let's try, hopefully this works. Tab, and let's just do width. Let's space this a little bit more. Width. And I'm going to do it by EMs, which is the width of an M. So I'm going to do 2 EM. And this should about double its size. Did that make it bigger? I can't even tell. Maybe it did. That looks bigger, right? Let's do 10 EMs. Not 120. That might be. 10 EMs is still going to be gigantic, but. Oh, it made it this way wide, but it didn't. Okay. Let's instead do height. Height. There we go. Oh, changes the size of the bounding box, but it's not changing it. Well, that is super lame. Okay. Well, forget that. You're going to have to live with the size. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I don't feel like getting into it right now. All right. So anyway, but this will allow you to do different colors. So if I want to do pink, Hadoop, you can see now I can have pink. Okay. So there's a little bit more flexibility by using the font Awesome than using what was given in there. But if you want it just a quick and dirty and you're happy with whatever that is, you can clap your hands and say, good for you. But now you have your custom thing. Now, I want you to customize it because the default just looks like Bootstrap. All right. And that's not something we want. You might even want to do something where you don't even have this background. Like if you want to do that, just go up here to the background color. And I'm just going to start doing the, let's see, can I was hoping it would give me. All right, we're just going to remove this. I'll delete and do we'll do my color. My library, Nikes, that's not what I wanted. RGB, and then here we go. And then what I'm going to do is just do pure alpha and click off. There we go. And now when I go into here, crap, it's on white, so you can't see it. Let's change the color of, let's do this. I don't know. We'll just make it black real quick. So now you can see I have no background. So if you don't want to have background at all, you can just go ahead and change this color to nothing. Just have 0 on your alpha, and voila, you're good to go. Okay? All right, so there you go. That's how to basically customize it. You should be good to go.